Hey you guys, it's Cassie with Dust to Roses. Um, I finished my second cahier sized travel journal. So this is it. She is quite chunky again, and similar to the other one, if not slightly more feminine. Like I've used more florals and more fabric pieces. But essentially they are very, very similar. Like they are sister journals, they're constructed in the same way, but they just have different like ephemera pieces and features. So I'm just gonna lift my blinds a little bit. Hopefully it's not too bright, but I do want more light. So okay. So, just to talk about the cover a little bit, again, I used well, this one is a vintage postcard. The other one was antique. This one is from the 1930s, I'm going to say. And on the back, although you can't see it unless you pry her forward, it's written in German. So, vintage postcard. She's really, really pretty. And I've used the same kind of metallic toned fabric. I've put some vintage buttons on a little bulb pin. Same twine. This is vintage black twine, and I've used a little key. So again, the cover is really, really similar. I've got two ephemera pieces on the front cover. It is a Tim Holtz paper again, and then on the back of this one, this is where I attach the Vintage Traveler cigar box label. So on the other one, it was inside on kind of like a flip out, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, let's just jump in. I'm gonna untie, take the twine off completely, just so it's not in our way. I love that about these journals, like you can leave the twine on or just take it completely off. But you can see she is quite chunky. Before I had it tied down, it was just like flying open. So I think I've compressed it a little bit while having it tied shut overnight. Okay, so the ephemera pieces on the outside, I do have a Cole Company receipt from 1938. I want to say, I can't tell if that's a 2 or a 3. I think it's a 2. So 1928, and then this is a handwritten letter, and it is like a Masonic letter. So that's for you. And then the Tim Holtz paper that I used is of the world, so it's a old world map, and I just thought that was so perfect with the travel theme. And inside again, I did create that big lace pocket out of the doily. Hopefully I'm all in frame here. Okay, so here is something that I made a while ago, and I just thought that it fit well with this journal as it's a little bit more feminine than the other. So I put this one in. It is a handmade letter that I used with vintage US Geological Survey maps. So it's a really cool piece actually. And I used all vintage things on it to collage. So kind of a neat little piece added in to the front pocket here. The only thing on this envelope that's not vintage, aside from the twine, is actually the paper that I used to line it. So here's another vintage Dayton, Ohio postcard. I had several of these, so each of the journals got a Dayton, Ohio card. I'm going to try to be pretty quick on this one. This is the piece of vellum. And again, I did use the little washi details just to add some extra texture and interest to the pages. So you'll notice those throughout, kind of randomly placed. This is from the same antique notebook. In this front pocket, well, not really front, but I made a pocket out of one of my vintage bottle labels. And inside I've tucked I think this one's antique, 1911, so it's postmarked 1911. Antique postcard with a couple on it. I said this one is slightly more feminine. I think it's more romantic. But anyway, I've used a lot of pinks and purples throughout, and also green. Green is a major color in this journal, but I've put in some tickets in this pocket. So you've got 6 tickets right here in this front pocket, and you can either leave them tucked or use them in your own crafting, but they are there for you to use. There's another of that notebook paper. So this was a vintage hanky, or napkin rather. It does have a big stain right here, which I mean is just part of the fabric now. I have cleaned it and that's just left, so, but I thought it was really pretty and feminine and fit well with the journal, so I turned it into a big fabric page, obviously. This was from a 1931 to 32 catalog for an art school, and I just pulled the cover and turned it into kind of a pocket page, and on the inside I actually included the original application for the art school. So this is it. Literally 2 little pages. I mean, college applications now are crazy. And then look, associate, annual, sustaining. Anyway, so I just thought that was really kind of a neat time capsule of things that are way, way different now. So, anyway, on the inside, I also decoupaged this really pretty napkin with the blues and the greens, and actually used a piece from a letter that I received from one of my pen pals, and turned this into a big pocket. And then I have included, since it's an art school handbook or application, I included a lot of art themed things throughout this journal. So here's one, and then on the back there's more. So that's just from a travel guide that I pulled from. I thought that was really pretty. So that's that page. I've added a fabric ruffle here. And then here is a tuck spot made from a vintage matchbook that I've just opened up and taken out the matches. And then here is a piece from a cathedral tour guide. Look how gorgeous that is. So beautiful. Okay. And then here's a page from, well, 2 pages, flip open. This one is blank, so you can technically like make a copy of that if you want, scan it in so you can reprint it, because it's kind of a nice, like, just little ephemera piece that you can reuse over and over. So I wanted to include that blank one for you. Okay, so the next side, again, there's the matchbook. I've included this label, which I received in a Happy Mail, and it's just, I guess, on like a cardstock, but it's really pretty. Has that nice little detail on it, and then a postcard. You get a lot of postcards in this mail, or this journal, and a lot of them are unused, so you can technically still send them or add them to your collection, whatever you decide you want to do with them. This is from that restaurant, and I've just added a little strip of my cigar bands there. Here's a little parcel post label. It's still got the backer on it. So you can use that if you want, or just leave it in. This is a Chinese, like, lesson page. I got it from Chris at Village Audience. I love that name. It's so funny. But I always feel like, oh my gosh, am I saying it right? And I think I am. But she's got a great little shop on Instagram, so I'll link it in the description box. And I got all of these used labels, I forgot to say in my last video. I got all of these labels from her too. So she's got really great stuff, and it's all random, depending on what she finds. So, and then here is a vintage letter from... I don't know how to read that postmark, so if somebody would leave a comment just saying, that would be really great. And I don't think there's a date on the letter, but it's in German again. I tried to include a lot of German ephemera pieces just because the postcard on the cover was a German postcard. So then here's just a little scrap of matte paper that I thought was really pretty, and it kind of tied in the green to this page, which is really pink. And then on this side there was more green, so I wanted to tie them together, so I did that with this. And then here is a page with engravings from that garden, which I think if you watched my last video I talked more about this. I thought that this worked well with this page just because that is like a blossoming tree, so garden kind of fits together. So this page is really cool. I've added in a vintage fold-a-note, which again is unused, so you can use that or use it for crafting, however you want to do it. And this is actually a double pocket that I've stitched. I used like a vintage journal sheet, like ledger journal, and just made a double pocket out of it. This is actually a tuck spot, so you can technically tuck something right there. But instead of just fully attaching that, I left it as a tuck spot. And then I've added in an unattached label, so that's a nice label. It kind of has like all of the colors from our color scheme in this journal. And then a vintage check. So this one is from 1952. And it's just a counter check that has been punched. I think those are so cool. I wish that they still did them this way. But now people barely even write checks. So times are different. So then on this page, I actually just did a little bit of collaging with some, this is vellum that I stamped myself. And then this is from that restaurant, this is from that journal, antique journal, and then just some washi detail. This folds out. This is something that's different about this journal versus the other one. I did keep some of the longer pieces to add fold outs. And again, I did hand distress some of the pages just to make it look more weathered and more traveled, which adds to the authenticity of a travel journal, I feel. Here's a little cigarette card. Again, I did some collaging on this page. I love these cars from the last journal, so I used some of the scrap from this here. Here's another label. I love this one. I think it is so beautiful, and I still have one in my collection. But I wanted to add it just because the femininity of this journal. So I put it there. And then here is a piece of paper. I don't know if you can see the texture. I talked about this paper last time, but maybe the lighting is better. It's super soft and has like this nice kind of linen feel to it. And it's obviously really like got a great patina to it. like I am in love with this paper. And so I just included the map from the back of that little handbook there. And it just tucks in. It's kind of a tight fit, but it just tucks in right there. And I have a little paper clip. Not that it needs it, but I thought that was a pretty little detail. So, here we go. And then on the back, the paper clip is also holding this vintage photo postcard, which was a graduation photo. I feel like this could be her journal. So after graduation, she took this long journey around the world and collected all these things and placed them in this journal. And so behind there is a lot of journaling space, which you'll notice a lot of things in this journal versus last one are not attached. Like I've temporarily attached them to the journal. So you can take them off and move them around or use them in your own collage work. But yeah, so here's the centerpiece is a map, vintage map piece from that atlas that I talked about in the last video. It's from the 1960s. And I chose a page that was really neutral tones. I felt like there were a lot of colors going on in this journal, and so adding just kind of an anchor neutral colored piece was a nice idea. So that's the centerfold. Here are some vintage train tickets, which it's another whole strip. And I did not trim this one down. This was all I received with this strip, so it's slightly shorter than the last one, but still really nice. And then a couple of dividend coupons here, which I think are really cool. And they just tuck in here. I believe this is also Chinese. Not exactly sure, but I think it's also a different lesson type book. And then I just made a pocket, like doubled it over so that it's a little sturdier to create kind of a tuck spot. And then behind I had just a little piece of vintage wrapping paper peeking out. And then another tuck spot created from another vintage matchbook. And you can see it's embossed. And it says Reese's Hallmark Card and Party Shop. And then here's another travel guidebook page. Oh, and on the back it says fresh candies. I thought that was really sweet. And then here's the little Iowa vintage stamp. Here's another postcard. Again, it's unused. So you get a lot of postcards with this journal, which I love collecting vintage postcards, but also to send them kind of in happy mails. This envelope actually opens, and I did not attach it. I made the envelope myself, but I didn't attach it or glue it. I just left it and tied it shut with a ribbon. And obviously it has a little journaling space inside. And it's kind of hidden, so you can write a secret message in there and just have it tucked away inside. And then there's the back, really plain, lots of journaling space still. And on here there's collaging. And then I did not decorate this envelope this time. So that's for you to use however you see fit. But it's really cool, and I love them. I have, I think, 3 more of these envelopes, and then they're all gone. And then on this page, I actually attached a piece of antique lace, and it's attached with eyelets. So there's the back. And then there's the other side of that antique notebook. This is a little brochure, I guess, for Greenfield Village, which is Dearborn, Michigan, which is the birthplace of Henry Ford, just FYI. And it's got a big map in it, really, really neat ephemera piece here, and then all these really great old illustrations. So that's a really cool piece. And then I used some wrapping paper, which I'm not sure if it's vintage or not. I received this as part of a birthday gift this year. It's vintage inspired, we'll put it that way. But I used it to create a pocket. So, and then just a little note that I got from somewhere, and this vintage playing card, which I use Queen of Hearts. This is my favorite card. And then I created a little mini tuck spot here, which actually you can technically tuck something in between the two layers, and then like if you're really wanting to do that, you can. But I just added in a little piece of lace ruffle there. And then this is the other side. This is the envelope that I created the mini tuck spot from. And there is a little journaling card, which was a vintage book page from like one of those Reader's Digest condensed books. And I just turned it into a little journaling card. But I thought the image was really great with the US flag, and anyway, it just fits. So then on this side, again, there's notebook paper. Instead of using the interchange form, like I had another one, instead of just folding it and tucking it in, I actually created a tag. So if you purchased the last journal, this is something that you can do with it. So I just created this little tag, collage tag, and then here's the letter. I believe this is to the restaurant that this little lined paper is from. And it's really, really faint. I think it was just praise for the restaurant. Yeah, it is. So you can use this. It's really nice paper, actually. It's really thin and soft. So you can use it for collage or crafting, or just leave it as it is. And it's got a really nice stamp, the 1966 post date. And then here's another of those matchbook tabs. And those just tuck in like that. Okay, so the other side I've created, or have the little tags here, and then I left this one unattached in this journal, so you can use this note card as you like. I'm just going to show detail. It is gold and beautiful, and I love it. So, and that just tucks over the edge of the page. I love just talking about every piece, and I'm sorry if you hate that, but that's just how I like to do it. So, yeah. Okay, so on this page, I included this really gorgeous label. Super bright colors, but I love the blue and the yellow. Well, it's primary colors, blue, yellow, red. But again, it's unused. So you can use this however you want. And then here is a piece of receipt, or like the 10 key receipt tape. And it's from 66. I have several pieces that are like just a huge long roll, and so I just cut off one of the sections. It had a date on it. And so that just tucks over the page here, and this goes over, and it all clips together. And behind there are some stamps that I collaged, and then this little tab that I made out of fabric with some vintage buttons, which this one is a mother of pearl button. and it was carved. It's really pretty. And they are glued on, so I don't think they're going anywhere. And then on the back, more collage with one of those labels. And here's the other side of that big pocket, which I just tucked this vintage book page in that has a couple of panels of World War II planes. And then a vintage guest check and a parking ticket. So let's just tuck into that pocket there. Okay, getting to the end here. Here's the fabric page. Then that other side, more collage with the washi tape. And I just left a lot of journaling space in this back section. And then here is a really cool piece. It's from a date book, which doesn't have a year, but it was all medieval artwork that they put into this book. So this is a medieval piece, which the title was on the opposing page. So sorry, it's not there. And then here is the postcard that goes in the back pocket, which I thought that was really a neat shot. And again, unused. So this is the second journal. I am doing my Paper Nerd sale starting tomorrow at around 1 p.m. Central. But, excuse me. I am posting all my handmade items on Saturday. So I'll be posting this one on Saturday. I'm unsure of the time right now. But keep an eye out on Saturday. If you want, send me a DM on Instagram and I will add you to my tag list so that you can purchase this journal. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this journal. Again, with this journal, I will include the huge ephemera pack with just extras that didn't actually fit. So it's almost like you're getting all of that stuff for free with the cost of the journal. But it'll have probably another additional 30 pieces of ephemera. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a good day.